ADHD or ADD. I was medicated for ADHD for 10 years. I was on Ritalin every day, not just a dose of Ritalin, but like a mega dose of Ritalin. And I've now been psych med free for 12 years. And the thing that I want you guys to realize is that if you get a label and you then own that label, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to live into that diagnosis. I did it for a decade. And that's a big reason why I'm such an advocate of nutrition and all these health routines at this point. Because the things that I have taught people, all these superhuman concepts, are the same concepts that I used to dissolve that diagnosis. I no longer think that I have ADD or ADHD. And in many ways, I think that these diagnoses are often symptoms of something else. In many ways, if someone's struggling with their attention and their focus, there are other things that this is probably from. I mean, one, and the obvious one to me, is crappy food choices. If you're eating a lot of processed, sugary, inflammatory stuff, it's going to have a massive effect on your blood glucose levels and your insulin sensitivity. And I've noticed that the people that are more insulin resistant and have higher blood glucose levels, they tend to struggle more with their focus and concentration. So what I did was I went on this journey to truly optimize my insulin sensitivity, like my metabolic health, and it changed everything for me. Now I'm at the point where I can focus from 2:30 in the morning all the way through till dinner time, like, and not break, not drop off, because I understand brain chemistry and understand hormonal systems. I don't think most people that have an ADD or ADHD diagnosis are actually ADHD. I think it's poor food choices, and that malware on their computer is basically disrupting the programming. That's something that you can change. And another component is sleep optimization. You and I both know that if you don't sleep well, that has a massive impact on your energy and cravings. And that obviously affects your focus. So when I got off all these meds and I optimized what I was doing, I focused heavily on sleep and heavily on food choices, treating food like software and your body's like a supercomputer, getting more insulin sensitive. And when you do that, your ability to focus goes through the roof. And another concept that I found really useful was going to Google and doing the Braverman test. So the Braverman test is essentially a ballpark approximation as to your brain chemistry. So brain chemistry being GABA, acetylcholine, dopamine, and serotonin. And think of all those different chemicals as different combinations of those chemicals drive different responses to how you feel. And so often what you'll find is that if you're acetylcholine dominant, you tend to have higher levels of anxiety and you tend to rush and feel more high-paced. GABA, on the other hand, is like the braking system of the brain. So acetylcholine might be like the accelerator of the brain. GABA is a bit like the braking system. And if you do the Braverman test and you can see that there are certain potential neurochemicals that are not quite right, there's actually foods and supplementation that you can use to enhance those chemical levels. As you get closer to optimal levels, that's where you think and feel and perform more effectively. You have more flow state, you have better energy, you have better concentration, you have a better mood because those chemicals are more balanced. And that was another key component that I used to really unlock those superhuman levels when it came to getting off all those medications 12 years ago. And another concept when it comes to ADHD is think of a pet, like a dog. And typically when the dog misbehaves, it's because it hasn't had enough exercise, because it has all this pent-up energy and tension. Humans are the same. You expect your child to sit in a classroom for hours on end and not move and focus. I mean, humans are not designed that way. So the point being is that you need to daily incorporate movement into your lifestyle to act like a pressure release valve to get some of that pent up physical tension down so you can get into a flow state. That's why I train every day. Even on the days that is like a rest day, I'll still do 10 minutes of something just to stimulate that concept. It's why I walk a lot while I'm on calls and mastermind calls and things like that, because I want to generate that movement to act like that pressure release valve to balance down my temperament. If you're finding that you're struggling to focus, it's probably because you're super sedentary and you're not expelling that internal tension properly. The other thing that I had to factor in, and that most people don't factor in, is how many stimulants people are on. So you've got to remember that Ritalin or Adderall is a stimulant. And if you're taking that, and you're taking a pre-workout supplement, and you're drinking a bunch of black coffee, you're creating such a level of anxiety in your system because of all the stimulants that you're taking. You're not going to get into a flow state, like a calm, focused state, when you're riding that high on stimulants. So you need to pick and choose and find better ways to generate energy. So what I did was I swapped out a lot of the conventional stimulants for things like yerba mate or green tea or other things that have some type of ergogenic, energy enhancing state, but it's not like taking 500 milligrams of caffeine in a shot. So if you are struggling with your concentration, you must find smarter ways to engineer energy with stimulants outside of your typical caffeine and Adderall route. Otherwise, you will keep revving up your nervous system so much, and that in and of itself is making it hard for you to focus.